Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin versus the US dollar. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Also check out the Telegram channel, which you can find a link to in the description below. So we've been following this for a while. Why do we talk about DXY, the US dollar currency index? Well, the reason again is because historically speaking, when DXY is trending up, Bitcoin is not doing so well. When DXY is trending down, Bitcoin's doing fairly well. If you don't believe me, let's take a quick look just to remind you, or if you're new. Okay? So here, from March to January 4th, January 4th or so, DXY, the US dollar currency index, was trending down by about 13%. And you could argue that it's still theoretically in its downtrend, right? We come down and then we come back up a little. Each time we come down, come back up. But ultimately, the trend so far is down. And we know that since March, Bitcoin has gone up. Okay, so that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is that in 2014, DXY was going up. And we also know that in 2014, Bitcoin was going down. Okay, so we also see that in 2018, DXY was going up. And in 2018, we know that Bitcoin was going down. So generally speaking, and also, by the way, when DXY was going down in 2017, Bitcoin was going up. So the way it historically has worked is when DXY trends down, it's good for Bitcoin, and for that matter, stocks as well. When DXY is going up, people tend to not be as bullish on things like Bitcoin and stocks. They then come back into the theoretical safety of fiat currency, or USD. So we've been following this trend here for months now. And the reason is because we knew we were approaching the same level that the dollar put up a stand in early 2018. And once the dollar was able to convincingly get above its 20-week moving average, say this bull market support band, which we use for Bitcoin, but we somewhat loosely use it for other assets as well. Once it got above here, you can see it was a fairly explosive move above. This definitively ushered in the Bitcoin bear market. You could argue the bear market had already started because we had already dropped below the 20-week moving average in January. But here in late April, we tried to get back above it, and we got rejected, and we kept going back down. So when you look at DXY in April, this is when it got above the 20-week moving average. So basically, Bitcoin got rejected by its 20-week. The dollar got above its 20-week. So the question is, will the dollar put up a stand here just like it did over here? Or will the idea of all the money printing and the fact that the money supply, M2, has gone up significantly. In fact, we shouldn't have had this money supply for another 3 years had we stayed on the initial track that we were on, I believe. So is that narrative going to continue to play out, or have markets already priced it in? This is a common misconception that just because something will happen in the future, that the market has to react a certain way, because a lot of times markets are very efficient and things are priced in well in advance. A common saying is that once you know about it, the market's already priced it in. And that's generally true, right? That's generally true. Because if you anticipate something to happen, you don't necessarily wait for that thing to happen. You just go ahead and price that into the stock. Like if you know of a stock that is theoretically, you hear some news about it, that it's going to have, say, amazing earnings. Let's say the company is going to have amazing earnings that quarter, far exceeding what they predicted. Then you might assume, okay, well, the stock should go up. And a lot of times it'll react fairly quickly to those price movements. That's why so many people spend much of their lives just combing through report after report, watching the news, because they're trying to get a small leg up on their competition. But the reality is, unless you are watching the market like a hawk and somehow get access to information right when it comes out, then most likely by the time you hear about it, the market has already priced it in. And this is what we said back over here. Don't assume that the dollar has to go down. in the same way as anything, momentum is hard to break. So obviously the path of least resistance would be down. But it would be a very deterministic thing for us to say that it has to go down. Because also it was trending down in 2017, but ultimately it put up a stand here and continued to go back up. Now, from a fundamental point of view, obviously we're in very different conditions now than we were when we were in 2017. Now, as we've said before, starting in January, the dollar put up a fight. That fight lasted until April when it definitively broke through and trended much higher. So far, we started fighting in December, and we've been fighting, the dollar has been fighting about for 2 months now. So if history is any indication, then we could be fighting, that the dollar could fight another month or two before definitively figuring out if it's going to go up and move past the 20-week moving average, or if it's going to just continue to get rejected, just like it did here, just like it did here, just like we had a wick here, and we came somewhat close to it here. Is it going to continue to get rejected, thus ushering in a very likely continued price discovery mode for Bitcoin, or is it going to bounce back up and lead into some short-term losses in the crypto market? Another thing I think that's useful to do with this is zoom out and see that we could be in the grand scheme of a much larger move, right? We have these huge concave up patterns. Perhaps we're just in the middle of another one, and that will ultimately trend much lower. I don't think we're necessarily going to trend all the way that low, but things could certainly go lower than they currently are. We'll keep an eye on it. I just want to remind people that let's not have a deterministic viewpoint on it. Let's be somewhat open-minded. If you want an idea, if you want some indication as to where the market might be headed for Bitcoin, keep an eye on the dollar. If we keep watching the dollar just go down week over week over week, that's likely good for stocks and for Bitcoin. If the dollar all of a sudden puts up a stand and starts heading upwards, that's going to make it a lot harder for stocks and Bitcoin to continue their rally in the short term. This is my interpretation of the market. Obviously, it's not financial advice. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. We also have the premium list, which you can find the Altcoin season sale in the description below. Make sure you sign up before the prices go up. You get access to the weekly reports, the weekly videos, the risk dashboard, the Telegram alerts channel, and the trading view indicators. So make sure you sign up. That'll wrap it up for the video. Thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Bye.